Sechta bava basra. We're starting from the fourth line from the top. Meisvei. Okay, the Gemara goes back to talking about the din of Shmuel. We spoke about two houses joined, and in one of the houses there's a mace, and there's an opening of a tefach, like a window of a tefach between the two houses. So the tumah travels if the opening is of opening of a tefach. But if there was a wafer that diminished the share of a tefach because of the wafer, so we say the wafer is not considered as part of the diminishing of the tefach, because he's eventually going to take this wafer away to eat it. So now, in fact, the Yamada Hakasha on the din of Shmuel, because Shmuel said anything that's roy lachila doesn't become bottle to the window. It doesn't become like a chelik of the window, which becomes less than a tefach, because he's going to use it. In fact, the Yamada Hakasha from the following brayso in Masechta Oiles. Perik Yudal Mishnah Vav Asavim Shetloshon. Asavim are grass which was detached, which is not Mekabel Tumah. V'hinicham b'chalein. It was not Mekabel Tumah because it didn't have any of the 7 minim of mashkin that makes it Mukhshel Mekabel Tumah. Yad Shachadam, we learned yesterday. So v'hinicham b'chalein, he put that grass in that window which was a tefach. So now it diminished it from being an opening of a tefach. Or it grew on its own, and so it grew on its own. So it wasn't mekabel tumah because it wasn't royal achila, and since it's not a davar mekabel tumah, only other mekelim are mekabel and eichel mashkin. So what are you trying to say with that? So what?
So it can't be mekabel tumah.
It's not mekabel tumah, right? And he's saying it diminished the tefach. Okay, it grew on its own bechaleins in the window. Matlonios is like is a little baguette, a piece of a baguette, which doesn't have 3 etzbois on 3 etzbois. In order for a little piece of baguette to be able to be mekabel tumah, it has to have the shear of 3 fingers on 3 fingers, and the length and in the width. So if it doesn't have that, it's not mekabel tumah. So if it was placed in the window and it diminished the tefach of the window, so it blocks the tumah from the one house that has the maze going into the second house. Or a limb of ava, or any flesh that was dangling from the behemoth and the chaya, it was severed a little bit. And it was in the area where the tefach was, okay, and they're not metame, and it's not mukhshel mekabel tumah. Why is it not metame? Because the behemoth is still alive. Okay, Eva and the basra, since most of it was severed from the behemoth and the chaya, it's considered as lechera. It's considered as eichel l'tamei tumah seichlen. So we said, but they need to become mukhshel mekabel tumah. How could they become mukhshel mekabel tumah? From the 7 liquids. Yad shachadam. So the Gemara. So these evarim are not metame. So if they're not metame, because if they would be tamei, we know tumah cannot be a chetzitza, cannot be a part that blocks the tumah from coming in. So therefore, it could be a chetzitza because it was a mukhshel mekabel tumah. And a live bird, which is not mekabel tumah, balachayim are not mekabel tumah. Kolzman they're alive, and sheshach b'chalein that was living in the window, a goy.
What does it mean? I mean, it was there.
It was there. The Gemara is going to ask, but he could take the bird. The bird could fly away. We're going to talk about that. It's tied there. A goy who's sitting in the window is also chatzitza because it's not mekabel tumah, even though he's tamei, but it's not mekabel tumah. The only one that's mekabel tumah is a yisrael. If a yisrael would sit there, it wouldn't be a chatzitza.
Like she says, he's like a mace.
Right. So the chacham were goys. Okay, he's not mekabel tumah, and they are chaytzis b'fnei tumah, right? But if it would be a yid, which is mekabel tumah, it's not a chatzitza. It would be chaytzitz from the tumah. Sheyosh b'chalein that was sitting in the window. Uben shmeina in those days, a child that was born at the 8th month was considered as a mace. It wouldn't survive. So that child that was born 8th month, yeah. Today it changed for different reasons. Either the
So when was Moshe
the-
Rabbeinu born? In
not in them, either the 7th or the 9th.
No.
So he says over here that the Ben Shmeina, it's still living, so therefore it's not considered as a dead body, but it's not considered as a live one either, because it's for sure gonna die. It's considered as a stone, and it's not mekabel tumah. That's what he says. Avlat sheneder b'chedesh hashemini lehiroyin. So the Yom Shabbos says it's considered keshu choshev ke'evan ba'alma. It's considered as a stone because for sure it's gonna die. And Kolzman that it's Kolzman, it's living. It's not like alive. It's not like it's dead. So it's not considered as an adam. So therefore, it's not makabel tumah when it's chai. It's considered as a stone. And of course, B'negei Shabbos, it's muksa to move it around. Ukli cheres,
Why if it's not a dead person?
it has a din like a stone.
So,
Ukli cheres, and the kli cheres where the kli cheres, the back, the bottom of the barrel where it's sealed is facing the house of the mace, and the opening is in the house where there is no mace, right? So then it's a chatzitza, the sefer Torah, and a sefer Torah is not considered as a kli lekabolas tumah, even though there was a gzeda later on. People used to put the truma next to the sefer Torah, so they were geyser that if there was truma there, it would make the sefer Torah tamei. But Bechlal, a Sefer Torah is not Mekabel Tumah. It's not considered as a Kli Lekabel Tumah. All these, Kulam Ematim B'chaloim, they diminish the tefach that allows the Tumah to come from the house of the mace into the Tumah, into the house that the mace is not there. So it diminishes the tefach and it blocks it. All these items are a blight. If it makes it less than a tefach by putting it in the window, so it's chaytzitz, it blocks the Tumah from coming into the house where there's no mace. Okay?
isn't it paket?
I can't hear you. Say again.
Paket? Isn't it paket? No, that.
It's chaytzitz. It's a chatzitza. It's not makabel tumah. If it was tamei, it wouldn't be a chatzitza. Anything that's tamei cannot be a chatzitza. So he says, kulam ematim v'chaleim, because anything that's not makabel tumah is chaytzitza v'fnei tumah. Aval hashelik, but snow, v'habodah and hail, v'haglid is frost, v'hakverir is the ice, v'hamayim and the water. All these do not diminish the tefach that's in the chaleim to block the tumah from coming in. Why? Because they all melt. The sheleg melts. Water, without the keli, cannot exist. It would just disintegrate. So all these things are not considered as a substance that as something that's physically there that's diminishing from the tefach. In fact, you said you could use the grass and to diminish from the tafach, but chazal behemta, he's going to take away the grass. You said anything that's usable for usable for macholim cannot be used as a chelik to diminish from the tafach. And here you said asavim could be used. And l'chayda, the asabim is really to give it to an animal to eat.
He said the cheresh achura l'san oil hatuma. That means that
Kli cheres
yeah.
is makabel tumah only on the inside.
Sorry, so therefore,
From the outside, a
so
kli
if
cheres
it's
is not
facing
makabel
the
tumah.
If it's facing the tumah that's in this side of the house,
Right.
and it's cold in the back doesn't become tumah.
That's how you know by cheres. We say al tistakel b'kankan ela b'masha yesh bay. On the outside, it looks like nothing. That's not how you look on a yid. A yid, you have to look on what's on the inside. Only like a kli cheres can only become tumah on the inside. The Rebbe says in the Sikha, when they get to a kli cheres, that a kli, we can learn from a kli cheres to when you go out after davening and learning, when you go out to do business, how do you block the tumah from coming in? So remember that your cheres, your offer, you made out of offer. No, the offer is a inyan from Beetle. When you have the inyan from Beetle, then you're going to be able to protect the neshama from being affected by the
like Avraham Avinu, that he's only offer be'efer.
offer anoich offer be'efer. Yeah. So that was the question. So l'cheira the asabim is fitting for the animals to eat. So how could it be considered as a chatzitza? Says Gemara Bafrasta, it's talking about such a asavim that's poisonous, and you cannot give it to an animal to eat. And says, but and also grass that had grown itself by the window, so in fact, or by right next to the wall, and it grew up and it grew tall, and it blocks now part of the window, part of the tafach. So in fact, the Gemara, keeping the kashal of kaisel shakalahu. We said before in the Mishnah that you cannot bring up your plants, yourself right next to the wall, because it's harmful to the wall. So you can anyway remove it. So how could you consider it as a chatzitza when it grew into the area where there was a tafach and made it less than a tafach? How could you say it's considered as a chatzitza if he's going to remove it anyway because it's harmful to the wall? It's talking about that the wall it's a ruined wall anyway. He doesn't care for it. That's why he doesn't care bringing up the plants all the way against the wall. Papa says it could be even a regular wall, a regular wall. And it's it's talking about that the sharashim, the rooting of the grass was 3 tvachim away from the wall, and it grew sideways up on the wall, and it blocks the area where there's a tafach, and now it became less than a tafach, so it's a good chatzitza. Matloini is, he said, this little cloth that's less than 3 tvachim could be used to diminish from the tafach because it's not mekabel tuma, because it's less than 3 fingers on 3 fingers. Says the Gemara, it's good for a patch, a latte. You can use it to close up a hole or rip. It's perfect. So how could you say he's going to leave it there? It's going to be taken away. And the Gemara besmichta, it's talking about it was so thick. You can't use such a patch. It's not made for a patch. Something that's that thick is not made for a patch. In fact, it's good for those that let out blood to wipe off the wound. You can use that shmata, so he'll probably use that shmata. And it's talking about such a cloth that scratches the skin. It's not good to wipe off a wound. It's gonna hurt the wound even more. If you're talking about it's that it scratches the skin. You're calling that less than 3 tvachim, 3 fingers on 3 fingers. It's not mekabel tuma. We learn by ariska shein ba'abami ba'ilei. By ariska it's called a sack. Shin kuf. A sack. The din is by such a cloth. It's 4 tvachim. In order to be mekabel tuma, it's not 3 fingers and 3 less than 3 fingers and 3 fingers. 4 tvachim on 4 tvachim. If it's less than 4 tvachim on 4 tvachim, then it's not mekabel tuma.
Even if it has 3 and 3.
Even if it has 3 and 3, it's not a problem. Yeah. So how do you say that the shear is 3 fingers on 3 fingers? And the Gemara ke'ein riska, it has the roughness like riska, that it scratches the skin. That's the type of a cloth it is, but it's not a sock. It's not called a sock. So we learned the and the eva and the flesh that are dangling by the behemoth that was placed in the area that it was a tefach and it diminished the size of a tefach. So we said it's a good chatzitza. How could it be? Or kabazla. The animal will go and it'll get up and it'll go. So how could you say it's considered as a diminishment of the tefach? And you want to be sure it's talking about it that the behemoth the chaya is tied up to the window and it cannot run away from there. In fact, the Gemara shachet law, even if it's tied up, but he's going to shach it. He's going to and in order to eat it. So the Gemara bitmeya, it's talking about it's a tamadik animal. In fact, the Gemara mazabel nachni, he's going to sell it to a goy. So and so it's not going to stay there. And you want to be chusha that there was hardly any meat to take from it, so there's nothing to sell. So you want to pasik shadul klavin. He'll cut off the eva that's dangling, the limb that's dangling, and he'll give it to the dogs to eat. So why is it considered as a diminishment? It's going to be taken away. And you want to keep it the tzab alachayim loy of it. Since there's tzab alachayim, so he's not going to do it. Sagt the Gemara, a bird that was lying in the window, we said it's considered as a diminishment from the tefach, and it blocks the tumah from of the house that has the maze from coming into the house that doesn't have the maze. In fact, Gemara, how do you say a a diminishment to the whole of the tefach. Parach v'azol. The oif could go fly and go and leave the area. And when you want to kasha, it's talking about that the oif was tied to the chaloin that it cannot fly away. In fact, you want to shach it late, but say he's going to take it and shacht it and eat it. And you want to be tummy, he can't eat it. It's a tamedik bird. In fact, you want to mazmal al-nachri, he's going to sell it to a guy. So you want to be klonisa. It's a min oif that has hardly any meat on it, so there's nothing to sell to a guy. So you want to yavalei yanuka. It's still, he can give it to a child to play with it, with this bird as a pet. So you want to be misore. It's such a bird that scratches, so he's not going to give it as a pet. In fact, you want a klanisa lemisarta. If it's a klanisa, it's that type of a bird that you said that it's so thin and has no flesh on it that those type of birds don't scratch. So you want to ain't klanisa. It has no flesh, but it's like a klanisa because it has no flesh, but it still scratches. So you want to be able to a guy that was sitting by the window is considered as diminishing the tefach that's in the window between the two houses. In fact, you want to call you this guy will get up and will leave. And you want to be kafas, he's tied up. So if you want to also chavre sharilei, it's possible for his friend to come and untie him. So if you want to be mitzayra, it's talking about a nachri who's a chayla that has a tzaras. Everybody distances him. They don't want to catch his. It's contagious. This machla. It's a sakana. They won't come close to him to untie him. So you want to ask him mitzayra chavrei sharilei. His chaver, the mitzayra will come and bichlal. It says that mitzayra is supposed to be yeshiv bada. No other mitzayra can come to him. But here we said it's a mitzayra that's a goy. We said befedish benachri hachayla b'machlas atzaras. By a goy, you can have another mitzayra sit next to him. So you want to akayta mitzayra chavrei sharilei. Mitzayra is chaver is coming.
That by the war that the Mitzayrim hases.
There was Gehazi and his two sons that they went over the wall all together. They were all Mitzrayim. It's a good shaila. So I think over there it mentioned that kasha when we were learning the Navi. They weren't allowed to be together. It's talking about. So we have a question. It's somebody's another Mitzrayim will come and untie him and he'll leave. So rather, it's talking about that this person was tied up by the melucha that he shouldn't leave. Nobody would dare to go against the decree of the king, and that's it. It's done. A child that's born at 8 months that's placed in the window is a good chatzitza. The end will be that the mother will carry him away to nurse him, or carry him away. I'm sorry, the mother will carry him away, and if the mother will carry him away. So how could you consider that as a chatzitza in the tefach, that it blocks that area from the tumah coming through? And the one it's b'Shabbos, that the vlad of Ben Shmeina, the child that was born after at the 8th month, since it's a sure thing it's going to die. So on Shabbos it has a din like muktzah, and you're not allowed to move it around. The Tanya like we learned in Rabbi Ben Shmeina. Here, look, the time we learned Ben Shmeina Areu Kevin. Ben Shmeina, it's going to die for sure. It's going to die after Shabbos. So the Gemara says, if it dies after Shabbos, you're going to remove it from there. So the Gemara says, you'll leave it there. I mean, he brings down from the Mefarshim there. The Tanya we learned Ben Shmeina Areu Kevin. He has a din like a stone. If he has a din like a stone, it's muksa. So Shabbos, you're not allowed to move it around with Shabbos. This is the Rav and the Braisa that it's going to stay there. The mother can bend down, over the child and nurse him. It's a sakana for the mother to keep the milk in her. So, but over here he brings down, 28. Let's see if he has it. L'chayra kasha, the Shabbos itself, Yitaka won't take it away from. But after Avalach Shabbos, for sure you're going to take it. So how could you consider it as this is Taisus' question? How could you consider it that it's diminishing from the tafach? So Taisus answers, it's talking about that the child is for sure going to die before Shabbos goes out, and they'll bury him there in that window. So therefore, they're not going to remove him. Yeah. Other Rishonim say that Afal Pishayim Havladli not B'Sham Lacha Shabbos, but Shabbos itself you can't move it. So on Shabbos itself it's considered as a chatzitza because Shabbos itself you can't move it.
Why would they bury him in the window?
That's what he brings that case.
How could they bury him in the window?
That's what he says. You want us to read the wording? Okay. So it says, kishavlad hu goises. You know what a goises is? Is dying. Vanda yomas koidim shetetzi Shabbos, which means he's for sure going to die before Shabbos goes out. And it's talking about that going to bury him in this window. So that's it. They're not going to remove him. Yeah, it's very little. It's like a fetus. Sagt die Gemara, Melech. Let me just tell you where we are. Melech on Chaf Amud Aleph. The last line. You see where it says Melech. Melech Chazile. We're learning about that there's two houses next to each other. In one of the houses there's a tumah, and there's an opening of a tefach. In the second house where there's no tumah, the tumah travels through the tefach. So if you put something in that tefach, so it's a chatzitza, it blocks the tumah from coming through. So one of the cases that we gave was he put salt in. Says Yomara Melech Chazile, it's a person can use it as a spice for his food. So he's not going to leave it there. How could you? And we said anything that you're not going to leave there cannot serve as a chatzitza. And the Gemara b'mirirta, it's talking about such salt that's bitter. It's not fit for eating. In fact, Gemara Chazal, a tanner could use it to work out the hides. And the Gemara they say kutsi, that these salts have like thorns. They don't use it. It's going to ruin the skin, the hide. So the Gemara keeping the kasha lekaisel shakla. We said salt is bad for the wall. The last words. Since it's hard for the wall, it's for sure going to be removed. And the Gemara, the yasva achaspa. The last word still on the first amud. That the salt is sitting on a piece of earthenware. In fact, Gemara, so what do you have to talk about the salt? Chaspa, go for teichutz. Let the earthenware piece itself be the chatzitza, be the choitzitz, and between the tumah that's in the house and he's going to leave it there. And the Gemara lays bashir in the cheres there wasn't the shear of that for hitzah. It's so small. If it's smaller than the shear for hitzah, it's as if it doesn't exist. So even though it's lying there and it might be diminishing from the tefa, we consider it as if it's not there. Kiditnan, like we learned in the Mishnah. Cheres kedelitim beim patzim lechaveirei. That cheres, in order to be chayv on hitzah, from either shusayach to shusayabim or the reverse, or daladam shusayabim, that piece of cheres, if it's that small that you put in between the planks by the windows, they had like window shutters, but I don't know if you call it window shutters. They had in front of the window pieces of wood, and in order for the light to come in, they would separate it. They would put it like a piece of cheres on the top and the bottom, so there should be a separation between each piece of wood. In the window here, look at this. These are like, imagine these pieces are in the window, and you want to make a separation so the light should come in. So they would put a piece of cheres on the top and a piece of cheres on the bottom, and they would like clay it in. That should stay there, so the light should come through the between the woods. So the Gemara says, if it was that type of a small of a piece, then you're not going to be chayiv on it for Shabbos, for Hitzah, if you carry that. And therefore, for Tumah either, it's not going to be served as a chatzitza to block the Tumah. Kli cheres, chazalei, frag Gemara, but kli cheres is right to use. You said that if he placed a kli cheres, let's say the back, let's say a barrel. So the opening is on the side where there's no base. The back of the barrel where it's sealed, the bottom of the barrel is facing where the tumah is. So we said, oh, that's a perfect chatzitza. How? He's going to use the barrel. He'll pull out the barrel. I have to now put in stuff. I have to put in wine in the barrel. I don't know. So how could you consider it? Huh? No, now it's not Shabbos. Now he's talking about stam as a chatzitza to block that hole, that tefach from the tumah coming into the house where there's no mace. He wants to block the tumah of the house that has the mace from coming into the house that has no mace. So he put a kli cheres there, but he says kli cheres chazalei. It's something that it's going to be removed. He can use it. Says he can't use it. The metanif. It's dirty. Even though dirty kli is used to let out blood. Okay, so the Gemara Menakif, it's talking about the Kli had holes. There's nothing, it can't hold anything, the blood. It can't hold anything.
We would have holes in the bottom or on the side?
All over. Yeah, it's not shaykh to serve as a Kli for any usage. In fact, you want a Sefer Torah, you said if he puts a Sefer Torah in that area where there was a tafach, it diminishes it from the tafach, it's a good chatzitza. In fact, what do you mean it's a good chatzitza? Chazla mikra. It's fit to read. It's talking about it's worn out. They found, I think, now from in Egypt, the Rambam Sefer Torah that he had from 900 years ago. They put it in a museum, but it's you can't read from it. It's worn out. But there's a lot of good words that are good.
People still want to look at it.
Yeah, you can look at it. Okay, but here it says Babali is you can't. You're not going to pull it out. It's a good mechitza. You can't read from it. In fact, what about Bayi Geniza? But you need such a Sefer Torah, you have to put in Geniza. So you want a Shamtei Geniza by the window. That will be the place for the Geniza. Amar Rav said, Bakil Ois Mechitza. But Bakil, meaning with all kinds of physical objects, you can use as a Mechitza, Chutz Melach, except for salt, Uravav, and fats. Shuman dika fats cannot be used as a Chatzitza. Ushmol Amar Fil Melach. Melach you could use as a Mechitza. Here, Rav says everything could be used as Mechitza except for salt. And Shmuel says you could use salt. Says Rav and Shmuel are not arguing. Why? Here it's talking about Melech's Daimis. They were big and hard, like a rock. It's the salt that we use. You put it in the salt. It's already in the soup. It's gone. You don't even see it. Okay. Says the Gemara, but now we find to be able to carry an amavui, he says that you can put up 2 pillars of salt and put a kaira a cross beam, and it should sit on the 2 pillars of salt. So umanich aleim kaira, it says, and that's fine. It can be used as a eida for the mavui, and now you can carry. Where do you live on Crown Street? Between Crown and Carroll? Now you can carry in the alleyway. You put 2 pillars of salt, and you put a crossbeam leaning on the 2 pillars of salt. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Shamelech Mamed says Hakoyre Mamed Samelech. He says, dear, because of the beam, the salt is holding the beam, and the beam makes the melech stay in one place. So when it has that pressure, it could serve. It doesn't dissolve. Says Gemara, I feel melech is thickness, even if it's the thin salt. But if you made a pillar out of it, and you put a crossbeam that's sitting on it, it's going to stay. So really, we can answer. Rav and Shmuel are not arguing, but like they're not arguing. In the place Shmuel that said that you could use the salt, is talking about there was a beam sitting on it. So it's going to stay. And this that Rav said you cannot use the melech is talking about the lake of Kara. There's no beam sitting on it.
Between the 2 houses?
You put it against the wall, a pillar of salt on one side, a pillar of salt on another side, and you put the cross beam sitting on it. What?
Therefore it's a mechitza.
It's a mechitza here. These are the ends of the alley. He puts a pillar of salt here, a pillar of salt here. He puts a cross beam here, and the whole alley. Now you can carry. You have a cross beam. My time, we learned in the Mishnah, one has to distance the millstone shloisha min hashacha from the bottom stone. That's the widest stone. It has to be distant from the wall 3 tvachim. Shein haba min harechav, and the upper stone is a tefach narrower. So on the narrower part, you need 4 tvachim. No, the bottom is wider. And the top is smaller.
That's why you need 4 tvachim to be.
On the top part, you'll need 4 tvachim from the wall.
Wider.
But from the bottom one, you only need 3 tvachim because that's wider. The wider one is on the bottom.
So why only 3?
Because if it's wide, the shear is 3 tvachim.
So
Here, let me show you. This is the wider one, and this is, let's say, this is the narrow one, right? So now here's the wall.
Yes,
So 3 tvachim from the bottom. But if you look from the bottom of the bigger stone, right? But if you have to go to the narrow stone, you're going to have 1 more tefach. So it's 4 from the top. Okay. Here you have 3 tvachim, but you have to go.
But if you had it the other way?
No, it's not that way. It's always the bottom one is a bigger stone. The bottom one is the biggest stone.
Okay.
Zog the Gemara, my timer, what's the reason? Mishum tirya. What's the reason why you have to distance the grinding stone from the wall? Because of the vibration, and the vibration it harms the wall. In fact, Gemara of Hatani, we learned in Abraisa, V'shechamei shloisha min ha'strubil, shehin abba min ha'keles. They had a much lighter millstone. It wasn't so heavy. The rocks were much smaller, but they had a horse or whatever that took around, or mule that went around and turned the top stone and on the bottom stone. So over there was no vibration. It was a much lighter mechanism. So for that mechanism, there you said from the bottom you need 3, and from the top one, which is smaller, you need 4 tvachim from the wall. In fact, what kind of a vibration is there? It's a much lighter millstone. Elamishum Kala says because of the coil. So he brings down on the bottom either from the guy screaming, so that's harming the wall, or from these millstones.
So what does that have to do?
The animals scream.
Or the animals going around and making a lot of noise. That is also
So
vibration.
why does it have to be there for?
I know the animals, but he uses that 16. I saw
What
that.
does he say?
He says either the coil from the guy who's screaming on the animal, or it's from the coil from the animal that is going around.
So therefore you need 4? That's why 4 and 3?
That's why you need 4 and 3 to distance from the wall, because the coil is harmful to the wall. Says
But the top, one of you said there's only 3.
3 from
we
the
have here in Brooklyn
is narrow.
destroys the foundations of homes that don't have steel reinforcement, and everyone knows it. I mean, every time a car goes over a speed bump,
Yeah.
it destroys the foundation of the houses on the block.
Okay. I'm going to just try to finish over here. We'll go.
When are you
We'll
selling
say.
your claim?
And what about an
20
oven?
years.
Shloisha min hakalya. With shloisha from the bottom, because an oven used to sit on a base. The base was wider. They had to make a base from the floor, and then they would put the oven was narrower, and it sat on the base. So from the base to the wall was 3 tvachim, but from the oven itself, it was 4 tvachim because it was narrower. So he says shloisha tvachim min hakalya. That means from the base, from the bottom. Shein abar min hasafa, which is 4 from the oven itself, which is narrower because the base was wider. We have a raya from here. Kalya the tana tefach. Here we have a raya that the bottom of the base, which is holding the oven, is 1 tefach more than the oven itself. Now, the difference is when he buys an oven, somebody who sells to his friend the oven without detailing what the measurements are, he has to make sure that the base is 1 tefach wider than the oven itself. A person shouldn't place an oven in his house unless between the smoke from the top of the oven till the rooftop, till the ceiling of his house, there's at least 4 amas, or because less than that, it'll probably burn down the house. He has to have some space from the top of the oven, from the
Do you
heat.
care what he does?
Oh, because you live on the top floor. If you don't care, you're gonna come down in a fire over there. So he says, what's if the guy on the top floor placed the oven? He says, if he placed the oven on the top floor, so he has to worry about the bottom floor. So he has to put cement or clay of 3 tvachim. Or bikira, and which is a small.
That's like this big.
No, it's this way. We're talking about off the ground, height. Or bikira, by a smaller oven, tefach, you only need a tefach of cement, let's say. What's if the fire attack burned down the whole house, and you follow the shiurim? Nevertheless, mishal mashezik, whatever damage it does, it did. You have to pay for it. Rabbi Shimon says, no, we gave you these shiurim to pater you if the house burns down, that you're not going to have to pay for it. A person who lives in the bottom floor, he can do what he wants. He could open up a bakery in the bottom floor. He could open up a dyeing factory over there. But he cannot open it up if the guy in the top floor already had a storage house of wheat. Veloy Rafis Baka. In those times, they used to bring animals into the house. So you cannot have a Rafis Baka like a barn for oxen coming into his house. You cannot have it because of the smell. So the Gemara be'emes be'yayin hitiru. Really, if the oitza, there was a storehouse on the top, it was of wine, they were mated to have a bakery, or because of the smoke, even though smoke is coming out, or a dyeing factory, the smoke is coming out because it makes the wine better. Avaloy Rafis Baka. Rafis Baka will never make anything back. The wine will smell like the baka. You don't want to have a wine that smells like baka. Okay, like the cattle smell. In fact, you about Tanya, we learned in the Braisa that the shirim are different. It says betano abba. We said in our Mishnah that if he placed a tanur on the attic floor, how many tfachim of cement does he have to put from the floor to the tanur? We said 3 tfachim. You remember?
Yes.
And here it says 4 tfachim. Ubikira, we said, if he puts it on the top floor, he has to put 1 tefach. And here it says shloisha tfachim. So how do we coincide our Mishnah with that Braisa? Kir is a smaller oven. A smaller oven. In the Mishnah it said 1 tefach. Here it says 3 tefachim. So all of a sudden the shurim changed over here. What's going on? That Braisa that says that you need bigger shiurim is talking about a real baker. The fire is on the whole time. If the fire is on the whole time, the heat is too strong, so you have to make it thicker. So the Tana the Tana of a real baker, where the fire is constantly going, is Kikira the Nachtaimim. Is our Tanur that you in a private house is like the small oven that they use in a bakery, which is the shears 3 tvachim. We said Lo Yiftach Chanus, a person should open up a store, a bakery store, under the person who has a storehouse upstairs with wheat and wine. And also we said that nor should he bring in his animals if he has the storehouse up there. Tana, we learned if he had already animals or a bakery there, before the guy used the upstairs as a storehouse, muta, he can continue to use it. And he can't say, oh, today I'm going to make upstairs a storehouse. You got to move everything out. No more bakery for you. No more everything. I have a storehouse upstairs. That's it. You can't continue with your bakery.
Downstairs.
You can't tell him, okay, no more because I'm building I'm making a storehouse. The bakery downstairs. Even though he had a bakery going on downstairs the whole time. He says, listen, I live upstairs. I decided to make my upstairs a storehouse. He could decide from Heim Bismargen. Since he started first, he can continue and you cannot stop him. So you want to keep it with Ibit's lights. Let's say before the guy started his bakery, the guy upstairs was already cleaning out the room and you could see he's making it into a storehouse. Mao, what's the thing? Is that considered already a storehouse before he actually stored anything or not? So let's say in the second floor he changed the whole look because he needed the light coming in. So he made big windows all around. He saw the structure the guy is building, but he didn't store anything. And the guy put in a bakery before he started to store anything. Well, what's the din? Aksad, others are not good as this. Aksad, if there was between the bottom floor of the bakery and the top floor where the storehouse is going to be, he built an aksadra. Aksadra is like an open space in between the 2 floors. So is it a hefsek enough that he could I don't have to stop my baking. I can continue even though you had a storehouse because we have aksada in between that's mafsek. Let's say he built now a 3rd floor. So you see from the structure that he's building a storehouse. Ma, what's the din? Teiku. So we don't have an answer. But you have Yeshua. These are not items that are used to store. He put in figs and pomegranates. These are not things for storage. Storage are wine or wheat. What's the din? So you want to take because he could say I started to store stuff, but that's not the material that you use for storage. So we don't have a real answer.
If he stored it, then the guy can still open up a bakery.
No, if he had a storage before he opened the bakery, he can.
No, but he's storing what the
Yeah, that's not items of storage. That's why we have a shaila. He started. He's saying, I'm starting to be. Bemes be'itz shayayin hitiru. We said if he has a itz of wine, a storage of wine, and the guy has a bakery downstairs, it's fine. It's fine for the wine. Tana, we learned be'itz shayayin hitiru. They were matter to continue with the bakery by itz shayayin. Even if the bakery comes later, it's like smoked wine. You have like the smoked whiskey. But the only thing that you can't have once the Eitz Yain was there first is have animals, because that stinks up the wine. Today our wine is very sensitive. So therefore, even the smoke of a candle is harmful to our wine of today. It's very sensitive. Rav Sheshes says aspasta, which is feder. It's a grass that grows every 30 days for the animals, but once it decays, it smells. So therefore, it's aspasta in the house. You cannot have. It has a din like the oxen in your house, and therefore it's harming the wine. Okay.